Okay, so I'm going to introduce the spinal flush. You can take, so I'm going to add a couple frills to it, I guess, and you can use these also, or you can just do the basic flush, and I'll distinguish between the two. So you can set the person up on a table if you have one, on a bed, and they can just place their hands like this, on a couch, on a floor. You can even stand someone up against a wall and just work down their back. If you do have a spot to lay someone down, you can place your hand kind of on the sacrum, so a little lower on the back, top of the buttocks, and then your other hand just between the shoulder blades. And you can just place your hands there, and what you're doing is just connecting the upper and lower parts of the body, or you can gently rock back and forth. And you're still connecting the upper and lower parts of the body, but then you're also starting to calm the body from any stress. So you can rock gently like I'm doing, or you could rock more vigorously. And it really just depends on what the personal preference is and what someone likes. So after you've worked into that, you're going to go to the top of the head. And you want to start to open the head by doing a bit of a crown pull. Now this isn't part of the spinal flush, just as this isn't, but it's a good sequence that you can do to really open up the body and release a lot of tension and emotional overwhelm. So taking your hands, the motions that I'm pressing in and I'm pulling apart. So another nice place to start is to take just in front of the ears and just doing some circles and smoothing behind the ears is exceptionally good for releasing stress. So I'm going to come in and I'm pulling and stretching. It's almost like scratching a bit too, in the sense that like I'm like a cat scratching. Just gently kneading, and then I'm coming in by the temples here and then sliding my hands down behind. Sometimes it's helpful then to get the back of the head to turn this way. And again, I'm pulling and stretching. And if I find a spot that seems overly tense or just catches my attention, you can just spend a little more time and do some shorter circular pulling motions. So now I'm right at the base of the skull where the skull and the neck meet, okay? And in behind the ears here, you can start and just gently do some circular motions. So my hands are doing this. And you're going to move that up along the occipital ridge. And here's not a lot of pressure. It's a bit of pressure, but it's not a lot of pressure. So when you're in the neck, you want to be a bit more gentle. At the nape of the neck, right at the top there is where the power point is. So you definitely want to massage that point. So I'm taking my fingers and I'm rubbing in there. So after I've opened up the base of the skull a little bit, there's a couple ways you can go along the neck. You can either just take your hands and inch by inch on either side of the spine, so I'm not directly on the spine, but either side, just make a rubbing motion back and forth and then move down. So you can do it like this. And again, I don't have a lot of pressure. And then when you get to where you're actually on the back of the spine, and this part is the spinal flush, okay? So working from the neck and all the way down, you could use much more pressure. So I'm even changing what fingers I'm using. I mean, you can still use these fingers, but sometimes the thumbs give you a little bit more force, and I can put my body into it. So I'm putting a lot more pressure going down. The other way that you can handle the neck is by doing a C cup. So here, you're just on either side massaging along, and again I'm just inching down. If I do big gaps, I miss huge segments of the spine, and I'm missing all of the nerves that come out from there, and you won't get the same effect. So you can C cup and go along there. And again, all of this is based on preference, both for you and the person that you're giving the spinal flush to. So now again I'm on the back, so I'm going to apply some more pressure. So just as a reminder, I'm on either side of the spine. You can give circular motions or an up and down motion, or a little bit of both. And adjust the pressure according to what the person both desires and can tolerate. So even if you feel like you're not pressing hard, but they're feeling a lot of discomfort, then you should lighten up. And sometimes the pressure isn't enough, so you can move in a little bit deeper. You go all the way down the spine, and again I'm just going segment by segment. And you don't want to miss going right down to the tailbone. So you just let the person know I'm just going to go right down to your tailbone. And again, I don't start jumping segments even though we're on a hard, bony structure. The exiting nerves are actually quite close in the sacral foramen. So I'm going to take that all the way down. I do find my hands kind of coming in as I'm going down towards the end of the sacrum and I'm starting to hit the tailbone. Okay? Then you take your hands and you sweep down the body. So we're going to sweep all the way down the legs and then off the feet. So this isn't part of the spinal flush, but I would say it is quite crucial in a sense in terms of helping the body not be in homolateral. So I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to go to the top of the shoulders and I'm going to apply a fair bit of pressure and I'm going to dig in a little bit. So I'm going to dig in and pull and then I'm going to create a cross motion to the opposite hip. I'm going to take that down all the way down the body and off the legs. And I should say, so I did a spinal flush once. You do that 3 times, and every time you kind of smooth down the energy, okay? So just going back to the crosses, so I'm going to cross at the other side, giving a good amount of pressure, and then down the leg. The last thing I would say here too is that you can help to support the crossing of the energy by doing what's called a belt flow. So often we think of the belt flow just at the waist, but I would suggest starting up near the shoulder blade. So it's a lot of cross motion across the body here. So crossing, crossing, crossing. And then when you do get to the waist, you then take it down the sides of the leg and off. So to repeat that on the other side again, starting at the side here, across, 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 across. And then down the body. The last final touch that is exceptionally good is doing some figure eights over the person. So a figure eight is just, like tracing the number 8, except you're doing it with your hands. So you can do little ones, and you can do nice big sweeping ones. You want to do that all over the body. And I'm not touching the body, I'm off the body. You can be up high and you can go down low. But this will help to strengthen the entire field and help integrate the changes that the spinal flush produces by moving the lymphatics and changing the nervous system. So just as a review, I start with the crown pull, I open, open, open. So this would be kind of the a quicker version of it. Opening up the occipital ridge, down the neck, and I'm onto the back, giving more pressure. Check in with your person. How am I doing?
Very nice.
We go all the way down to the sacrum, finishing at the tailbone. Okay, so I finished my spinal flush. I'm going to pull the energy down and off the body. I'm going to cross. Down. And then I'm going to go across here, across here, down, and then you can do your figure eights. So that's how you can approach the spinal flush. You can also have the person standing up against the wall, so they would just put their hands against the wall, and then you could work down their spine also, and then just pull the energy down, and you could still pull from shoulder to opposite hip.